everyone. My name is Dory Diaz. I'm the president of the Osceola Democrats, and welcome to Spill the Tea with OYD. I'm here with my co-host.
Hi, Rachel Christian.
Rachel Christian, and we are over here. We are interviewing. Live. We're interviewing Jochy Cora-Santiago and he is running for school board district.
Yes, District 2 of Osceola.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for coming with us and having this interview with us. We are live on YouTube, so hello everyone and our viewers. Phil, so this is Spill the Tea. What are you drinking?
All right, now I am not drinking anything. But I don't drink tea. If there's coffee, I have coffee, but I'm not a big coffee or tea drinker.
Like the hot beverage drinker?
Yeah, I definitely don't. Like, even if it's coffee, it's cold coffee.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's cool. That's really cool to know. I only have my water today. I drank my tea earlier. So we're all good. So Jochy, can you tell us what position are you running for and why should young people care about that office?
Yeah, so right now I am a candidate for Osceola School Board District 2. And this is the Buenaventura Lakes area in Kissimmee. So anything like east of the turnpike. So yeah, and I am running for school board, which is the body that represents the schools, right? So we allocate money to different schools and we make sure that there are schools being built. We make sure that kids have resources, teachers have resources, and it's a very important position because right now we see that Title I schools are usually underfunded. They lack a lot of materials, and if you don't have people in these seats that understand the system, that understand the inside of a school, right? They're not gonna be pushing the way that, let's say, a teacher can push, right? I've been in education for 7 years and I've seen the tough issues, right, that specifically Title I schools have. I've been working in Title I schools since I started working in education. And I think I'm the best person for this job because I understand, right, what my community needs. And a lot of, maybe young people don't have kids, right, in the school system, but we've been affected, right, because we've been growing in this system, in this education system that clearly needs a push, that clearly needs some reform and people pushing the limits, usually of the state government. So yeah, I think I'm excited. It's a very exciting position to go for because it affects, people speak about the presidency and people speak about all of these federal positions, but when you get to the local positions, that affects your day-to-day. And being able to be a voice on that board, specifically for the BVL community, right, where most people are working class, it's not very affluent, and that's the type of neighborhood that I really want to represent and that I want to make sure these kids have the resources they need and everything they need.
Yes, Jochy. And honestly, for school board, that was what I first got civically engaged. And that's the first place that I started looking at was the school board. I used to work in Osceola County as a Osceola County teacher. So that board was really important in my future, in my job and what would be happening day to day. And I'm young, so I was in the county working for about 4 years.
Mhm.
So it is very, very important for us to pay attention as young people. So
Yeah,
thank you.
and it's a, once we get, presidency, it's obviously number one in people's minds. Very obviously very well known, but even like in the presidency, there are people who don't know who the presidential candidates are. So all the way down to my position, and when it comes to city commissioner and county commissioner, you have to do your best to become even more visible. And that's why I like these forums that people like you, the Young Dems, and different organizations create so that our voices can be heard.
Definitely awesome. We definitely appreciate you coming on as a guest today. Our next question is, what are your top 3 priorities in education if you were elected? What specifically are the 3 things that you would want to target?
Yeah, so one of the first things that I want to target is transparency, right? Because one of the issues in Osceola County is that, so transparency and standardization kind of go hand in hand, right? One of the things that happens in Osceola County is that there is a lot of principal discretion, which means in one school, this principal can say one thing, and in another school, a principal can say a different thing. So one of the things that I learned quickly while being a teacher in Osceola County was that there's so many different, principals say different things for the same things. So having a standardization of a lot of the issues that come up is very important. I worked many years in Orange County, and I see the difference, right? Where principals don't just have the last say in who to hire or who to let go, right? So having a standardization process is key. At the I also came across a friend of mine who needed access to one of the football fields, the soccer fields. And once again, he was in communication with me because he knew that I worked for Osceola Schools, that I know a few of the people that could be key players in helping him get permits and all of these things to be able to have soccer games at one of the soccer fields in a school in Osceola. And there was no standardization. People were just sometimes making things up, giving him different information. So having a standard, right, where everything is the same or close to the same is very key. Another thing that I want to push for is more diversity when it comes to the leadership of the Osceola School Board, right? We have probably over 60% of our population is Latino and minority. And when you look at the graphs, right, the organizational graphs and the executives of each department, there are very little Latinos in these positions and very little minorities. So for me, that is an issue where it is 2020, soon 2021, and no one has even thought of diversifying the leadership of Osceola County, of the schools and the school board and the school organization in Osceola County. So that is another one of my big issues that I want to tackle. I know these things are not things that will happen from one day to another. There's processes and different things that have to be developed to make sure more minority voices are heard and counted when it comes to leadership. And my third area is definitely technology, right? I think this COVID-19 pandemic has really opened our eyes to so many things. And one of the things is that Osceola has been lacking when it comes to technology. I worked at a school in Osceola County where it was also Title I school. And my kids did not have the technology that they needed to be successful in the classroom. Um, and for me, that was very frustrating because, like I said, I come from Orange County where kids have laptops that go home with them, right? And then being in a classroom where my kids did not have laptops, the media center did not have computers. The computers that were in the media center were not good. So two of my classrooms, I was a floating teacher, so two of them were in the media center. I would often tell my students, okay, go get a laptop from the media center so that we can do, more research and, the different activities that we needed. And I had so many kids go back and forth, Mr., this one doesn't work. Mr., this one doesn't work. So for me, it was very frustrating because this is what they need. They could be doing all the research online, yet we don't have the technology to, prepare them for all of this. And then I would tell them, okay, take your cell phones out. Mister, there's no signal. I can't get online. So it was very frustrating being, trying to teach these kids, right, in a modern world where it's so important to have technology, and they did not have the access to. So the school did have probably hundreds of working laptops, right? But testing, right? You can't take a car when there's testing, and there's always testing in the education system here in Florida. So it was a big challenge. So that was something that really opened my eyes. And then I thought, my kids were Title I school, very high Latino population with so many issues, right, that a lot of these kids have. And for me, it was very difficult to see how basically the government has not provided these kids that are already lacking. They have not provided the tools that they need to overcome whatever it is that they have in their house and whatever things that are hindering them from moving forward. The government has not helped, right? So it is very important that the school board members understand each of their schools and know that this school does not have computers. This school is okay, so we'll leave that one there, but let's see how we can help these other schools that are lacking. And sadly, a lot of the school board members are not teachers. I think none of them currently are teachers. Some of them have like education experience, but no one in my understanding, no one on this board has been able to at least go 1 year in a classroom in Osceola County and see what is lacking. When I got to Osceola, I was surprised at the technology that they had for teachers. I was like, where's the smart board? Where's my smart board? And no, you can use an Elmo. And then I was like, oh, I have to now learn how to use an Elmo because I've never used that. I've always had smart boards. So even for the teachers, the technology has been lacking. And I think that is I feel very strongly about government knowing and understanding that there are children who need help and not providing that help. For me, that is appalling. And like I said, that's why we need members who understand their community and who understand their schools. And as we've seen in this coronavirus pandemic, how important it's been to have laptops, right, for our kids. And even internet access, right? Because you could give someone a laptop, but they might not have internet access. In Osceola County, where homelessness is so high, and this is something that many people don't speak about, especially when it comes to our children. Homelessness in our kids is very real. And oh, well, they live with an aunt, they live with an uncle. Yeah, that's still homelessness. They do not have a place where they can say, it's my home. And, you know, even providing a laptop to many of these kids, it would not, you know, it would do no good, right? So we have to figure out who needs what students need what, and trying to build relationships with internet providers to see how, you know, we could get these kids internet for free, right? Because a lot of people have discounts, a lot of companies have discounts. I worked in Orange County where I helped provide a lot of my students with the Spectrum discount. But a lot of times this is another bill for a parent. So many things, and surrounding technology, I think that is my number one issue that I want to tackle. And, you know, it's really working with the school officials, working with the budget to see, you know, where are we lacking? How can we take something away in the budget to provide our students with what they need?
So, and distance education it's proved to be like a really big challenge in this year, in this pandemic. So what are your thoughts on the response so far in Osceola County when it regards to distant learning, especially this whole switch right now? And what are the ways you think this can be improved upon? So as far as what happened with COVID-19.
Yeah, so I've been in contact with some of my former coworkers at the school that I worked, and even in Orange County and different counties. And I feel like Osceola County really needs to move on getting laptops to students, right? Where they don't have to have this huge mess where you're going to get the whole entire school flooding the school, you know, all the students flooding the school to check out laptops, when you could do that at the beginning of the year and it's a smooth process. So one of my former coworkers spoke to me and told me, I have a class of like 26 and I've had like 6 students hand in work. This is something that I feel like is not being spoken about, right? I had students in my class that I needed to literally monitor almost the entire time they were in my class to make them do work. Imagine these kids home, probably alone if their parents are still working, trying to do work. I think we need to create a system where these kids are monitored, where these kids are given the support that they need. Sometimes it's not computers, sometimes they need physical printout papers, right? So I think that there needs to be a response to that issue, where how do you address the students who don't complete the work, and how do you help them, right? Because it's not a matter of just failing them. You want them to be successful. So I think that helping these students out, helping these teachers understand how to do that and how to enforce their lessons with positive reinforcement, right? With different strategies to make them do work. I think that is important. I think more training is needed, specifically on distant learning, because again, when kids don't have laptops and teachers are not, that's not their norm, right? To give work on a digital basis, then there needs to be training on both sides. We need to remember that we have much older teachers that oftentimes don't know how to use the technology. And it is important to also not neglect those teachers and give them the training that they need so that they are successful and that their students are successful. I remember, so I worked at Walker Middle School in Orange County, and Rachel's from Walker Middle School, which is, yes, it's really nice to have someone right from, you know, where I worked for so many years. And in Walker, I remember when they went digital, and it was very interesting the way the teachers needed to learn, right? They had to be quick and they had to be ready to learn this whole new system. And then the students also had to learn, you know, they had to learn how to get an email, how to use an email, because many of them don't. Students needed to learn how to use Canvas and upload onto Google Docs and all of this, right? Teachers also need to do the same. They need to learn, a lot of them, if they don't already do it, they need to learn how to upload things on Google Doc and send things. So I think this has been an eye-opener. We need to make sure that our teachers are trained for these things. And we need to make sure we teach our kids how to use the technology to be able to do their work. One thing that I was thinking about, and obviously these are just ideas that, you know, I'm often like just in my bed and then I'm like, oh, we could do this. One thing that I was thinking is having specific days in the month or in the year on distant learning. So having, let's say, once a month, give one day so that students can be home on their laptops and doing some type of work, distant learning. Obviously, parents work and all of that. So it's just an idea that I, you know, because this could also be done in school, right? Where it's like, it can be a whole day of just online work and students can get, you know, the training and the access and the, you know, they, as they do, they learn. So I think that could be a good way in helping them learn. And, you know, we never know when things like this happen. So it's always good to be prepared.
Definitely. It's incredibly important. You know, I think a lot of people, this kind of, obviously COVID-19 was a huge curveball in a lot of aspects, but like you said, it's kind of the thing a lot of people don't talk about is, you know, how this has fundamentally changed education for everyone. One of the things that you had mentioned earlier was homeless students and some of the struggles that Title I students face specifically. As I'm sure you're aware, and anybody who's watching is aware, we have a bit of a affordable housing crisis here in Osceola County. what can a school board member do to help address this issue and, you know, help resolve it for their students?
So from what I have, from my understanding, right, there's some lobbying that the school system can do. The specific points of that lobbying, I'm pretty sure comes from within the board. So usually they're completely education related. So to the effect of affordable housing and pushing for that as a school board member, I don't think there's much I would be able to do, but, and this is where the difference in a lot of people come in, right? As an individual with a voice and a base of followers, I would be pushing for affordable housing. This is something that is very close to me, right? Because as a young person with student loans, it is very difficult to find a place that I can afford, right? When you're at a salary of a teacher, there's not many options, and the options that you have to get a roommate, and here you are 40 years old and still living with people. So in my opinion, right, and in the way that I see my role as a school board member, I would definitely continue pushing for affordable housing. This is something that I've been doing throughout my activist career, right, where working in activism and in the Puerto Rican and Latino community, housing is like one of the #1 issues in the Puerto Rican community, right? And these have been the issues that we have been fighting for, and this will not change when I get elected. It will probably even be a bigger push because I know I have students who are struggling and who don't have homes. One thing that I was able to do, and one of the proudest things that I've been able to do has been, again, in Walker Middle School, where I helped out with the homeless kids. And, you know, I would pair them up with one of the food banks in our community and make sure that they had the food that they, you know, at least for the week. So homelessness, when it comes to children, you know, people just don't speak about it. People don't speak about childhood homelessness. And it is an extremely important topic because kids cannot learn, you know, kids cannot be successful, and kids will not be working to their full potential if they don't have a place. So if I have some influence in the way that we lobby, right, as a school board, if I have enough influence, I would definitely make sure that affordable housing is one of our priorities within the school, within the county, the school board, because it is important. Kids cannot learn if they don't have a place to live.
And that's going off of like the hierarchy of needs, you know, the needing to feel safe, needing to feel like they're fed. I don't believe a child can learn unless those needs are met. But another challenging I had when I was a teacher is just the amount of students who've had mental illnesses, and sometimes our schools was not able to like provide for them. So what are the ways that you think that the school district can help provide those educational needs to meet the services of students with mental illnesses, and maybe even students with different disabilities, or like with different disciplinary issues? What do you propose?
Yeah, so one of the things, so a good thing that I saw when I went into Osceola County was that the guidance counselors were not doing scheduling, at least in the school that I was in. So that is a very positive thing. The scheduling, one of the assistant principals did the scheduling, and the guidance counselor, they were able to do more one-on-ones with students who really needed it. So I feel like that was a very different thing that I saw from like Orange County, where guidance counselors, all they do is scheduling. So me going into this new school in Osceola, guidance counselors were doing their job and it was great. So I feel, again, having a standardization, having the same standard for all of the schools in Osceola County where guidance counselors can do their job and stop scheduling, right? And help kids who really need it. I feel like that is like the baseline that we can do. One of the things that I do want and hope to see come true is having at least one social worker per school. Right now, social workers have 5 schools that they need to travel to. And this is a disservice, right? This is a disservice to our students. This is a disservice to our social workers because they get overworked. So again, looking at the budget and also pushing Tallahassee, right? This year in January, thousands of teachers went up to Tallahassee to really push for more funding. And this is what we need to start doing. We need to start pushing the lawmakers to be able to give us the money we need. And we need more social workers, one per school. You know, we were able to put one security, one cop, right, for every school. We were able to do that. And very, very important, right? Because we see so many issues when it comes to gun violence. And that was a priority and it was done. No one's asking where the money's coming from, but it was done, right? So I think it is very important. It's just as important to have social workers, one per each school, so that our students who are struggling with mental illness have the help that they need, right? So before having a meltdown in the school, we have someone already there to help. I feel like this is a very big priority because, like you said, you know, a student cannot learn if they have so many issues going on, and it's just sad the way our system has made mental health like secondary, when it's probably one of the most important things that a child needs to have, right? A good mental health to be able to learn.
And yes, and it's interesting because, for example, I know there is a shortages in Osceola County of school psychologists, and it's so hard to even find school psychologists to be hired. And I just feel like even teachers trying to find hiring teachers. So how do you what are some ways that you think that you can attract teachers into the workforce, especially diverse teachers who are meeting the needs of our students, diverse school psychologists, school social workers? How do you think that you can how can Osceola County attract those people who are studying and trying to help us to bring them back into work for our county? Because it seems like it's shortages because we can't find the people. We can't find school psychologists. The school psychologist is being shared between different types of schools. Social workers, if one social worker is out, that may be affecting the whole team of the Osceola School District. So what are some ways to attract intelligent people to come, intelligent, diverse group of people to come and teach our students, to come and work with our students specifically in our Osceola County?
Yeah, so one of the things that that I always say is that education is not something, and when I say education, like the whole system of education, is not something that we see change one day to another, right? Education is more like a long-term process, right? Where, yes, we want to have more people, attract more people. Yes, we want to put more social workers. Yes, we want to increase funding, but everything comes little by little. And that, I feel like that's the sad part, right? Where we just sometimes have to wait. So for me, the way I see attracting better teachers would be having them getting paid better, right? And having a school district that really listens to the teacher. And not only that, but having a good and strong union is also very important. I feel like once a candidate for teacher sees, oh, they have a strong union, they fight for their teachers, these are things that start changing, right, the minds of possible teachers. You also have a lot of questions, right? So when I was looking for a job as a teacher, I would speak to people in Lake County, I would speak to people in Osceola County and Orange, and see and compare like what district respects the teacher more. And I feel like having a culture where the teacher feels respected is very important. And that's why I say like a lot of these things take time, right? You can't just change the culture of a school system in 1 year. So being proactive to having a good culture, being proactive in pushing Tallahassee for more funding is very important. I feel like that's the way to attract more teachers. And I say this with such hesitation because the state just does not want to fund fund schools. And it's very difficult and very hard when you are a teacher and you see that your pay will be so similar from when you start to 10 years in. So it's like, how do you attract people that, that is their future, right? Where they're not going to see an increase, a big increase from when they start to 10 years in. So this is why it's so important to have like these partnerships with the state government. And sometimes this is why it's important to push them as hard as possible so that they understand that there is a big need and teachers need to get paid. It's ridiculous that we have teachers doing Uber. When I went to Cuba, there were teachers that were my taxi drivers. And I feel like we should not be paying a teacher so low that they need a second or third job.
Definitely. I think you touched on so many incredible points, during the course of this interview. One of the things we'd also talked about is just how the coronavirus has, kind of thrown a wrench into everything. How do you plan to, effectively communicate with your constituents during this campaign season to share those ideas and to get the word out that you're running?
Yeah, this has been probably the biggest challenge for me at this moment. And I feel like every candidate is going through the same thing. The thing is that there are, like I said, there are positions that are a little bit well known. I feel like I'm down here when it comes to like importance in a lot of people's minds. And so that's a tough issue that I have right now. But you do what you can do, right? At this point, I've been sending a lot of emails specifically to constituents. And I am in the process of sending out some mailing information and letters to constituents, because this is the new way that we're doing things, right? Hopefully we can start opening up where we can go knock on doors, but with a lot of hesitation, right? I don't feel it's very safe for me to throw my team out to go knock on doors when, yes, the state might clear, but I don't know. That's something that I would not risk my constituents nor my team to go out and knock doors. So at this rate, it's literally social media and the different ways of communication, like letters. And the good thing with me, because I've been an activist for quite some time now, I am very well connected with radio shows, with different reporters. And I feel like that's going to be the key for me to get my name known, to get my face known, and to get my message out there. And I feel like I'm feeling confident because of the connections that I've been able to acquire during my time as an activist, and with my work with the Puerto Rico topic. And a lot of Spanish media knows me, and my goal is to just get out to everywhere that I can, so that people can start hearing the name Jochy Cora-Santiago, and social media is a very powerful tool and is very inexpensive. I feel like that's what have saved a lot of these campaigns.
So I noticed that you were saying that you wanted to go to Tallahassee in order to ask for more funding for education. And now, as far as COVID-19, we are going to foresee just budget cuts from the state in general. Education is mostly funded by property taxes, and people are not working in Osceola County, so expecting people to pay taxes that go to education. How are you going to use that experience that you have from activism in order to convince your constituents here in Osceola County, in order to convince different parts like Tallahassee, in order to convince them to invest in the school district of Osceola County? And can you explain more on your experience with activism?
Yeah, so first of all, I've been involved in activism probably since 2016. I feel like a lot of people got ignited in 2017. And so I started my work with Misión Boricua, which is a nonprofit organization that works in the Puerto Rican community. And from there, I was also working in the school system, where I helped Title I kids and Title I schools. So I've been involved specifically in work with Puerto Rico and the diaspora here in the United States, and specifically in Florida. Everything from protests to lobbying in Tallahassee for Puerto Rico Day, and also meeting with different elected officials on specific Puerto Rico issues. So that part of my life is very, I've been able to build good relationships again with elected officials and with the media, where, I can contact media to, tell them that there's a problem so that they could go investigate, and different issues like that. And can you repeat the other question? It was my activism and...
Oh, how do you plan to use your experience in order to convince, lawmakers in Tallahassee, in order to convince our local government, like, Osceola County commissioners? How are you going to use that in order to convince to invest in the school board of Osceola County?
I feel communities, including teachers, don't know the power that they have themselves, right? And even students can create a whole revolution, but they don't know, right? So I feel like it is very important to make constituents, make teachers understand, students, parents understand that the government works for them. And I feel like people just go through the motions, right? And they don't see how organizing in masses can create a big change. And one of the things that I want to do is create coalition, right? Create coalition with organizations, with parents, with students, with teachers, and teach them that their voice is very powerful, that they can do a lot if they're organized. And I feel like that's one thing that teaches you as an activist, right? As an activist, I am tasked to find people to push the government. And this is the same thing that I want to continue.
I don't know if we can continue.
What?
I'm so sorry, Jochy. I'm having some technical difficulties on my end.
Yeah, I'm not hearing them either.
Oh, can you hear? You can't hear me?
Now we can.
Now we can. Hello, Jochy? Oh, I think he logged off. Well, this is live and it's okay. I just wanted to say, this happens, and we'll be hearing back from Jochy. Jochy!
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, I was saying just one of the things that activism teaches you is how to organize people. And, the district that I represent, it is an extremely Latino and minority district. I'm pretty sure is a minority majority at this point. And it's oftentimes our people, right? Latinos and people of color don't know the power that they have. And teaching them about, if we organize efficiently and we push the people that need to be pushed, we will get results. Because at the end of the day, politicians are worried about who's voting for them and if they will be reelected. So mixing those two, I think, is a great, powerful thing to have. And one thing that I am very vocal about is that one person on a school board does not really change it, right? one of my goals is to get elected and then organize in other districts to get people who are also progressives to get elected, right? So if it's me and if it's two other people, there's already a 3-2, and we will be able to make extremely big changes in Osceola County that will affect the whole entire state of Florida, that can then affect the whole United States. So this is one of the things that I have in mind, because Osceola County is a small, compared to Orange County that they have 8 school board members, we have only 5. And with 3 school board members are, willing to push the limit on Tallahassee and push the limit in the different oppressive systems that we have, I think we'll get very far. And it's just not, it's with me only on the board, it'll be difficult, right? But if I start mobilizing in other communities to get people elected that will also push for our students, then it's a whole different story.
Definitely. So we'll probably start wrapping things up here. There's one final question that we had, just kind of a fun one, unless there's anything else that you wanted to add, Dora. But we've been asking everybody kind of what their favorite place to visit, which, is maybe a little bit difficult now, but your favorite place to visit in Osceola County or your district specifically, maybe a park or a restaurant, or just someplace you like to visit and hang out.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy downtown Kissimmee. And the reason I love downtown Kissimmee is because I feel like there's an antiqueness to it. And I feel like it's very walkable, and it's close to the lake and all that. And for me, it's a very nice place. I've been there quite some time with the Young Democrats, right? Three Sisters and the different restaurants downtown. So yeah, I really enjoy going to downtown Kissimmee and lakefront. So yeah, I
Did he, hey, Jochy? I don't know if we're getting off. Do you hear still Jochy on?
I do not.
Okay. On. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it's a little bit different from Orlando, where even like downtown Orlando is a little bit more walkable, but I feel like Kissimmee is like that homey. It's smaller. So I like downtown Kissimmee.
Oh, well, wow. You did an amazing job. Thank you so much for interviewing with us, Jochy Cora-Santiago. You are running for a school district too. So for those our viewers who are living in that district, please check out Jochy Cora-Santiago. And Jochy, if you have any last words to say, this is your time. Thank you.
No, I just want to thank the Young Democrats, the Osceola Young Democrats, and hopefully we'll get things rolling with this campaign. I've been doing text messages and phone calls for donations and different type of support. It's not only donating, you could like share the Facebook page, and there's different types of way people can really help out candidates that they believe in. So thank you guys for this, having me on your platform, and we will see you around in Kissimmee, Osceola.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us.